Welcome back, everybody, to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It is day after primary, Thursday. I'm Josh Fenton at the GoLocal Live. This is Joe Trillo, independent candidate for governor of the state of Rhode Island. You did not have a primary last night. You did not have to stay up all night. You did not have to host a party.
But you know, I had a big win last night.
I
really did. I had a great win. I'm very happy. I want to thank all my supporters for coming out. It was a good time. I'm very optimistic moving forward.
Where did you watch election results last night?
Well, actually, we were in the WPRI studios doing a cut-in.
Yeah.
So that's where I was.
And were you surprised at any of the election results last evening?
A little surprised that the governor did as well as she did against Matt Brown.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a much closer race. And I even thought that the race between Patricia Morgan and Alan Fung would have been closer than it was. But those were my only two surprises, that they weren't closer. Not that the wins, the people that won didn't win, because I anticipated that that's the way it was going to come out.
I'm going to take a moment to self-congratulate myself. I texted to a senior member of the Raimondo administration at about 6 o'clock. I had the numbers exactly right, except for Dickinson did 3 points better than I anticipated. That was the only miscue.
I think Dickinson did very well. He is a strong candidate. I served him in the General Assembly. He's a nice guy. He's an honest guy, and he had a good message.
Let's talk about it. Regardless of, listen, where the governor had a massive advantage. Let's start with on the Democratic side. Governor had a massive advantage in fundraising and outspending Matt Brown, more than 10 to 1. And yet she's still in the mid-50s, despite, as good an economy in the state as you generally get. We have low unemployment. People have jobs. They may not be the perfect jobs, but people have jobs. Should she be in the 70%? If Charlie Baker had a primary, he'd be at 80% or 90%.
Well, Charlie Baker's an exception where he stands, amongst governors. I think the governor certainly should be higher. I think she's made some serious mistakes, blunders. I think her biggest problem is, while she's a capable person in many ways, she can't solve problems, and I think she's proven that over and over. And that's the inability to go to school and learn a course about a specific problem. She'd probably be good at that if it was about a specific problem. But throw her the UHIP crisis, throw her the crisis on I-95, and some of the other things that she's got involved in. She just can't pull those problems together, because I don't think she has good problem-solving skills.
Let's go over to the Republican side. Alan Fung ran 4 years ago, very competitive in the gubernatorial final race, lost by about 4 percentage points. I think everybody says if Bob Healy wasn't in the race, he would have won the governorship. I think that's probably true if you look at historical voting patterns as to who Healy attracted. Probably leans more towards centrist or conservative than it did towards liberal. But that being aside, he beats Patricia Morgan, who it was a strange campaign by Morgan. Started well, then didn't seem to catch her footing, and then the last couple of weeks seemed to really put together a good campaign, tying in Arlene Violet and Ken Block and John Robitaille, people that on the Republican side have a lot of respect for, and very popular. But she couldn't get it done. What's the message of Fung?
Well, I think one of the problems is that a lot of people are not paying attention to the primary, especially during the summertime. So it's very difficult for somebody like Patricia Morgan to make a lot of noise and be heard, because the cameras are not there. Nobody's paying attention.
Yep.
People are at the beach. It was a very hot summer, and they were watching my boat go by.
Yeah,
and
some people are
we
boating.
were waving to them.
Some people are more boating than beaching,
this
right?
This is true. This is true.
Right.
But so I think it's a difficult thing to get your message out there in the primary. But with that said, I'm looking forward to the concentration will be much greater in the next 7 to 8 weeks as we close in on election day. And I think there'll be more attention paid to the candidates. Hopefully I'll have an opportunity to show that I'm very different from the other two candidates in this race. Josh, I'm the only guy that's been in business all his life and has 16 years of politics. And you know, it's the business background with the politic background that make the mix unique. We've got Donald Trump, who I supported. I was chairman of his campaign for president. I think he's done a lot of good things for the country. I do not like his tweeting. I do not like some of the other things that he's done. But I try to look at the big picture of the person. He's been good for the country as a whole. The unemployment rate is so low. But I think people need to look at the candidate from a bigger standpoint. Lots of times people try to zero in on one point or the other. Oh, you know what, I don't like him because he said whatever, one or two words, or I don't like his position on that. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to run in this race and tell you everything you're going to want to hear, like the other two candidates. The other two candidates, I'm talking Gina Raimondo, Alan Fung, what they do is they survey and they test every position they're going to take.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you a better candidate if the economy was down and you could talk about your business experience, about how you could rebuild the Rhode Island economy? Or is there a malaise right now because the economy is pretty good that takes away a little bit of your thunder and your differentiation of being a business person first, a politician second? The other ones have had a history of being politicians first.
Here's the difference. The difference is the economy is good right now in Rhode Island because the national economy is good. Do not give this governor credit for making the economy good. But the problem with Rhode Island is we're the first one to go into a recession, the last one to come out of a recession. I want to take this state and make it more business friendly. I want to get rid of a lot of the regulations that are choking businesses. I want to eliminate taxes that are making people move out of the state every day. I want to stop taxing pensions on our veterans. And these are the things that are killing the state. And, you know, when you look at the progressives and the liberals, all they want to do is give away more. Every time you give something away, you have to go get it someplace else. And they don't look at where they're going to get it because they think they have limitless checkbooks and will just go back and raise taxes, raise fees, and this is what they do.
So let's jump on a couple of these issues. Liz Tanner, head of DBR, has been here. She's an appointee of Governor Raimondo. She says, hey, listen, in the past year or so since she's been over there, they've eliminated 30,000 pages of regulations.
They might have eliminated 30,000 of pages of regulations that are obsolete. And that's easy to do. It's going in and eliminating the BS that's out there that the average business runs into. If you want to start a business in downtown Providence or in Warwick or in Cranston, you go to City Hall.
No, 100%.
You go to City Hall and you say, I want to start a business. The first thing they do is they give you a ridiculous application that doesn't pertain to what you want to do. It asks for setbacks and sewage requirements and all this other stuff. All you want to do is open a retail store.
So Patricia Morgan, I think, caught some fire by naming some names. Do you have some thoughts about who are the types of people? And I'm not saying you're guaranteeing that this is the person who's going to be, over at Commerce, or this person's going to be running Health and Human Services. But give me a name or two of somebody who you think would add to your administration and make Rhode Island a better place.
The good thing is that Patricia Morgan and I had to run against her. I would almost be running against myself in the mirror because we're both very similar. Our styles are different.
So is Patricia Morgan a person you'd tap to bring into the Trillo administration?
I would definitely try to tap Patricia Morgan to bring her in. She's an honest woman. She's a diligent worker, and she goes right in. She jumps right in.
There's no two ways about that.
I served with her for years in the General Assembly. She's a fighter. That's what I want. John Robitaille, she brought his name up as the head of Commerce. John and I talk all the time. I talked to him a week ago. I talked to him a year ago. I asked John to be around if I get elected as governor to be part of my administration. John moved to South Carolina. I talked to him the other day.
He might come back.
He might come back.
He might come back today, based on where the storm's about to head. Let's go Gina Raimondo first, then we'll talk Alan Fung. Gina Raimondo's biggest success, what has she done well for Rhode Island in her 3 3/4 years?
She's probably, well, you want me to give you a positive thing that she's done. Well, she's done positive things at the cost of millions of dollars. I mean, offering free college to students, I think, is a positive thing. It's great, but we got to pay for it. And you know, today you start a program and you say it's going to cost 10 million, and in 10 years that program is 150 million, because as more kids go to college, we have to build bigger classrooms.
All right, you're doing pretty well on the positive. Now we've gone into the What's her biggest failure?
Oh, obviously her biggest failure is how she's handled the UHIP crisis.
Yeah.
2 years we're into this. Health and Human Services is very important. While I want to root out waste and fraud in health and services, I don't want to make people that need to be taken care of bleed to get what they need. And that's what she did. She never jumped in there the way she should have. I would have been in that office. I would have been on people's backs. You know, either you're going to get this job done, you're going to give me a date, it's going to be done, or you're gone, and we go on to the next thing. The other thing I would have done is call some of the neighboring governors. Ask them, who do you use? That's not rocket science.
Okay, let's go over to Alan Fung. Alan Fung, what's his biggest accomplishment as mayor of Cranston?
Well, that's a hard one. That is a hard one. I gotta really think, Josh. I think you stumped me on that. I don't think I can come up with it. I mean, I'll tell you what he will tell you it is. Look at Garden City, look at Chapel View.
Right.
He brags about it all the time. I knew Freddie Capianato very well. He was a good friend of mine. Freddie Capianato was a success. He built all these beautiful properties. He didn't need Alan Fung to help him design Chapel View. He would have done it with and without him, and it would have succeeded with and without him. Look at Garden City. Yeah, it's a great place, no question about it. You think the developers had a consideration to who was mayor and whether the mayor was going to really help them move forward with that project? Nothing. Mickey Mouse could have been mayor, and it would have still happened just the way it is right now.
Okay, so you're undecided about his successes. We're going to go with that. Undecided about Mayor Fung's success. Let's go over to his biggest failures as mayor of Cranston.
Well, I think his biggest failure is he brags about he's got a $20 million surplus, while his schools have got no security in them, while his city hall is falling apart, while the streets in Cranston have got potholes that your car could disappear in. It's easy. Josh, any business can have a surplus. Grab money from your cash flow, lock it in a lockbox, don't go near it anymore, don't pay your bills, and don't fix anything. And you're going to have a surplus. So it's an easy way to claim you have a surplus. I think he's had a lot of deficiencies.
You're going to have the opportunity, potentially, as both of them refuse to debate their opponents, but I'm assuming we're going to see some debates coming up over the next couple of months. What's the issue that the three of you should focus on? What's the number one issue facing Rhode Islanders that Rhode Islanders watching that debate ought to be able to see the difference between each of you as candidates?
The biggest thing that's facing Rhode Island right now is we're spending too much money. In order to spend too much money, we need to raise taxes, raise fees, and we're chasing the people out of Rhode Island that can contribute to our society, contribute to our tax base, and we're welcoming in all these people that need to be taken care of. So you got people walking in with their hands out like this, and we're throwing money in their hands, and we got people leaving with their pockets full of money, and they're going to other states. Case in point is John Robitaille. He brags about the fact that he was paying $10,000 in property tax for a house, 3,000 square feet. He moved to South Carolina. His taxes are $1,100.
So from $10,000 to
$10,000 to
$1,100.
Yeah.
You getting a piece of that? So that's number one. What's the issue that I think that you would say that the three of you are most similar on?
I would think we're most similar. I'd like to say we all want to do well, but I think there's egos there that don't. I think, Gina's ego gets it. I've always got a negative. I can't give you a positive. Gina wants to be somebody else. She wants to be a senator or president. Alan Fung, I'm sure, how can you trust that he wants to be? He told people 2 years ago he wanted to be mayor again, and the next day he was out campaigning for governor. He probably wants to move on to something else. So there's not, the only thing about me is I don't want to do anything else. I want to give a good run. I want to straighten out the state, do what I think needs to be done, make some major changes, rock the boat up on Smith Hill. I'm taking no money from candidates, not from candidates, I'm taking no money from lobbyists or special interest groups. I'm funding this race primarily myself, not that we don't welcome contributions, because we do, but nothing from special interests.
How much are you going to put into this race?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Millions of dollars?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And if you get to millions of dollars, what would your wife say to you?
My wife would be very mad at me.
Bruce Sunderland was a remarkably wealthy man before he
Yes.
started running for governor
Yes.
numerous times. When he left office, he was a wealthy man. Not a remarkably wealthy man, he was a wealthy man.
Well, fortunately, at my age, I feel as though I can do this. We're going to be cautious with what we spend. We're watching every dollar we spend. And I said from the beginning, I'm a small businessman. I'm used to spending $1 and getting $10 worth for the dollar I spend. And that's the way I want to run the state. I want to run it so that you tell me the roof is leaking, show it to me. Show me where it's leaking, and don't give me a ridiculous price to repair it, because I know how to repair it. You want to tell me we got a boiler problem? You want to tell me we got electrical system problems, grid problems? Talk to me about them, because I understand that stuff at a level way greater than anybody that's ever been governor.
Last question. As you look around the state of Rhode Island and you see that, for the most part, people still think we're on the wrong track, according to public polling that we've done with John Della Volpe at Harvard, that Bryant University's done. You see that Governor Raimondo, despite the robust economy, still really didn't, distance herself. Republican Fung still in the low 50s as well. How do you rebuild the attitude about Rhode Island and really create an atmosphere in that people feel great pride, great excitement, that they're encouraged about the future? How do you build that up?
It's difficult, Josh, to build that up, because you have a large segment of our society right now, and it constantly keeps growing, that really wants to know, what free stuff do you have? It's like, you can go to that store over there and everything is free, but if you go to that store, you've got to pay for stuff. And what happens is we keep bringing in so many, so it's a split. It'll always be a split. You're always going to have the makers and you're going to have the takers. The problem is when the takers overshadow the makers, you're in trouble, because it doesn't work. And we're at that point where we have too many takers.
I lied. I said that was the last question. It's not the last question.
Okay.
The last question
What are you, a
is...
politician? You're gonna lie?
No,
to
I
me?
was honest that I lied. That's the difference.
No, that is the difference.
You've got 2 months to get out there. I think people have, some portion of the people have a good beat on you, what you stand for, but it's a 2-month sprint right now. In our June poll, you were at around 14 to 18% of the vote in different matchups. So you've got a base. How do you take that base and grow it? And I'm going to use the analogy like Link Chafee did as an independent, because you're running as an independent. You're not going to have the party apparatuses. How do you take that and push it up and get that 36 or 38% of the vote and add those additional folks into the
Well, you
campaign?
do it a combination of everything. You get out there, you try to meet as many people as you can. We're trying to do as much as we can on social media. We're going to have a budget to spend, on regular media. I don't know where it's at 100%, and I haven't totally figured that all out. You talk to one person, it's all social media. You talk to another person, it's all television. You talk to another person, it's print or digital, it's whatever. So it's a question of trying to do everything, but put your dollars in the most effective places you can put them. And in some places, it's very difficult to get that measurement. But we're working forward. We got 10 commercials right now in the can, ready to go. So
Great.
we're ready.
Joe Trillo, thanks so much.
Josh,
Stay
nice
right
talking
here.
to you.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in today on the Business and News and Politics Hour. We've got Chelsea Gay coming up at 4 o'clock. She's got everybody on. We'll be back tomorrow at noon with Kate Nagel, and she's got a great lineup. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and also tuning in last night during our complete primary coverage that seemed to go from morning till night. And appreciate everybody here at GoLocal for all the effort that they put in for a very, very long day. Joe Trillo, Bob Flanders, appreciate both of them for tuning in, for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow here at the Navigant